Hey there y'all, happy to have you back on Screenshine. PawnStars first aired back in 2009 and is currently in its 16th season. The show has been a huge success in the last 10 years due to its unique premise. The basic foundation of the show is based around a family-owned pawn shop, and it chronicles the interactions between the owners and the customers. Now, pawning items is not the same as just selling items, as it relies heavily on haggling over the price, and the final value of an item is not just based on its composition, but also its history. Even though the people running the shop have been around since 1989, they too can at times get duped and end up paying more than the fair market price. This is a list of 6 items and moments which nearly forced PawnStars into bankruptcy. But before we get into it, be sure to leave a like if you're a fan of the show, and if you want more content from this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never have to miss out on another video we put out in the future. Number 6. Jaw-dropping scam. A fact not known to everyone is that the man running the show, Rick Harrison, is a huge Willy Wonka fan, but those who do use this fascination to exploit him, and that's exactly what happened. Harrison ended up paying a mind-blowing $105,000 for a piece of memorabilia from the set of the original Willy Wonka. Now, the scam wasn't about the item, but more about its price. That tiny little collectible item went for about $40,000 to $45,000 in other markets, so Rick wound up giving more than double the price of that item.
Holding it. It's like the Hope Diamond.
Number 5. One mistake after another. Talking about the Harrison family, Rick's brother Corey Harrison has had his fair share of trouble around pawning various items. One time, Corey was conned into paying $4,000 for not just one, but 4 different Rolex watches, which all turned out to be fake. Another time, he was tricked into ponying up $31,000 for a supposedly game-worn jersey from the 1960s. When he looked into it, he found that the jersey didn't belong to any player from the 60s and hadn't even been worn to any baseball games. Minor mistakes might not seem like a big deal, but in the long run, these little mistakes cost the show not only money, but also their reputation.
Rule of thumb is, if someone's going to sell you a Rolex for 50 bucks, it's probably fake. The thing about a Rolex is, there's nothing wrong with it.
Number 4. The Wells Fargo incident. Going back to Rick Harrison and his blunders, seeing as he's a lot more experienced than the other employees at the shop, one might think that he could spot a scammer from a mile away. But that wasn't the case when a seller came into his shop with a very ancient storage vault from Wells Fargo, which had a pair of rusted chains attached to it. Although the loss wasn't huge, Rick, completely entranced by the worn-down shackles, paid $450 for an item that would later be branded as completely fake by an expert.
What do we have here?
Well, we got a Wells Fargo strong box and some antique ball and chain.
Number 3. Shoeless and clueless. Nowadays, signatures from celebrities are admired by fans and often sold for charitable deeds for huge sums of money. But autographs from the 20th century are even more valuable. So one day, when a person came into the shop claiming to have a book with Shoeless Joe's signature on it, it rightfully caught Rick's attention. The most rare part of this insignia was that Shoeless Joe was an illiterate baseball player, so his signatures have ended up being a lot more valuable these days. Rick shelled out $13,000 for that book. After consulting an expert, he found out that the Joe signature had been faked and was in fact one of the worst forgeries he had ever seen. Ouch.
I have a book signed by Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Number 2. Picture-perfect diamonds. Seeing that this business has been run by the Harrison family from the late 80s, one would think that it's been smooth sailing from the start, but Richard Harrison has seen his fair share of scammers and cons. In the early 70s and late 80s, there was a craze for a new man-made material called cubic zirconia, which closely resembled diamonds but was worthless as a gem. Richard himself was conned into buying $40,000 worth of this gem, which he later found out was worthless in the open market.
Because it gives it that real 3D effect. What you want to look for is you want to look for imperfections in the stone. When you're looking at a CZ or a fake diamond,
Number 1. Rick Harrison's biggest bust. Continuing with the theme of diamonds, Rick himself admitted that the purchase described ahead was his biggest failure ever. One day, when a man came to the shop looking to sell a pair of diamond earrings, Rick did his due diligence by verifying that they were real. However, the scam wasn't about the diamonds, but rather who they belonged to. After a couple of days, when the police came to inquire about the diamonds, Rick found that he paid $40,000 for an item that had been stolen from their rightful owner. In the end, he had to return the diamonds and lost all the cash from the transaction. This list
conception that everything that gets brought into a pawn shop is stolen.
If something's stolen, I don't want it in my shop, plain and simple.
We don't want stolen items.
should be taken as a lesson that no matter how experienced a person becomes, they always have to keep their guard up for potential tricksters and never to trust their heart's desire when it comes to buying potentially fraudulent objects. This wraps up yet another episode, which I'm hoping you guys enjoyed. Stick around for more amazing content, as we'll be seeing you in another video real soon. Until then, take care and adios.